Hey guys, my name is Ken Tamplin from Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. Now, wherever you get your information from, it's important to ask yourself two very specific questions. And the first thing is, the person giving you the information, can they demonstrate it themselves and demonstrate it well? And do they have students that demonstrate what they're teaching to prove out that what they're telling you is the truth? Here at Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, we have over 300 videos with dozens of students demonstrating and proving out what we teach to give you honest, legit information. Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I got a lot of requests for this one. That's none other than the Pentatonix. So I thought I'd do a Vocal Coach Reacts to. Now I decided to go all the way back to inception and when they first started in their first big break. So they actually had something called the Evolution of Music. And ironically, I also did something called a Journey Through Rock and Roll 65 Songs with one of my students, Vincent from 10 Second Songs. And I enlisted one of my other students, Gabriela Gunčíková. So we'll kind of go back and forth and toggle between some of these. And then way back in the 90s, I also put out an a cappella piece called This One's For You. So I'm going to integrate some of that in as we go as well. So let's just get started. This is the Pentatonix and this is the Evolution of Music, and let's rock. Here we go.
Salve
11th century. Now, by the way, I have to point something out here because it is important. If you listen to that last piece, you heard 2 or 3 girls singing and there's only 1 girl in the image. So they're making it look like this is all live. It's not. It's definitely been pre-recorded. I don't know how much they're either singing into the track or they're just actually miming the whole thing, lip-syncing the whole thing. Still fabulous, but nonetheless, I have to point that out because there's more than just one person singing, you know, some of these parts. So that's important to note. Okay, here we go.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are
I love that bass in there. Cool. And then I like the tenor parts. Those are great too. By the way, there's an art to that. I want to point something out. There's different kinds of vibratos, and if you guys get a chance, look at my channel because I have a whole huge video on vibrato, and I have a ton of this in my singing course called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. And he's using a staccato stab vibrato here. And that was popularized by bands like Manhattan Transfer, and you know. So if you get a chance, there's like that Aaron Neville sort of vibrato. That's a wobble. There's caprino vibrato, which is kind of like Stevie Nicks. There's a natural. There's like a natural vibrato, and then in this case, and there's other vibratos too, but you know, and they're employing a lot of this stuff as they're moving along. So, and they're doing that because this is the 40s, and that's kind of the stuff they did back then. You know, so here we go. Andrew Sisters, love the Andrew Sisters.
because you're mine, I walk the line.
Johnny Cash, baby.
When the light was gone and the lamp was died, I will stand, oh stand, ba 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 I wanna hold your hands, I wanna hold your hands.
By the way, I did that song with my student Sarah Luero, so if you get a chance to check it out, it's early Michael Jackson ABC, and it's killer. I think you'd really like it. I'll try to post it in the description if I can, and you guys can check it out.
ABC, 1, 2, 3, baby, you and me. No, 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 no. Mamma mia, mamma mia, Mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub has the devil put aside for me, for me, for me. Celebrate good times, come on. Celebration, celebration. Oh, don't stop, believe it, 'cause this is Thriller, hey, a Thriller night.
Can't touch this.
Can't touch this.
Say my name, say my name.
Now, what I love about this too is, you know, I like the beatbox stuff and all that, but their blend is really cool. Like when they need to pop out and have a more brassy sound, they can come out and sing brassy. And when they have to come back and settle and blend, they know when to do that and when to kind of ebb and flow within the music, which is super awesome, man.
What is around you? Say, baby, I love you. You ain't running game. Oh, I want it that way.
Nice.
Hey, I don't want to meet your daddy.
Oh, hey,
I remember when I lost my mind.
I'm on tonight, my hips don't lie and start to
Whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, oh.
Good harmonizing. Great harmonizing.
I kissed a girl and I liked it. Taste of her cherry chapstick. I got a feeling.
The other genius thing about this that's really cool is obviously they're not singing in the original keys, and so they had to morph and pick songs where they could actually manipulate the key to fit the changes of all the meshing between one song to another. So it's not just that they're singing the songs, it's not just that they're doing this a cappella and the beatbox and everything that goes with it, the changes in the choices that they took of the slivers of the songs themselves, but they also had to manipulate whatever keys could fit from one song to another and create energy to come up, energy to come back down, relax the energy to come down and everything in between. And I did this with my student Anthony Vincent. We're gonna do 10-second songs, 65 songs, A Journey Through Rock and Roll in a minute. I'm gonna critique that as we go because it's similar to this with a little bit more of a modern edge to it. So let's continue. We used instruments. We actually did all the instrumentation ourselves and had to literally take snippets of each thing from guitar to drums and bass and everything in between to get that to work like what they're doing just a cappella. So let's continue.
That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good
Baby, 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 oh,
Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bed.
now you're just somebody that call me maybe.
That was awesome. Okay, so now I'm gonna move on to 10-second songs. This is actually something I did here not that long ago. So check this out, here we go.
To join me. So here it is, 65 songs in a journey through rock and roll.
Let's rock.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. To the fruity, oh Rudy. To the fruity, oh Rudy. To the fruity, oh Rudy. Oh, bop, bop, blue, bop, bop. Go, Johnny, go, go, go. Say goodbye. Go, Johnny, go, go, go. Rock around, Johnny, be good. She loves.
Now I want to point out as we're going through eras too, there's not just the key change part of this, and there's not just the blending part of this, there's not just the handing off of this person sings that line, that guy sings this line, and so forth. The memorization of it all, which is also critical, but the tempos have to also match. So you have to remember, okay, we slow down for this one. And we speed it up for this one. And then we, get a mid-tempo thing. So I'm gonna let this play, kind of contiguously so I don't interrupt it too much so you can kind of see how intense this was, but pretty tough to do, man. It took us 6 months to put this sucker together, and it shows how much effort went into it. So I'm gonna let this thing play so you guys can enjoy it, but then notice again sort of this, and then I wanna get to my own song that I did called This One's For You that's entirely a cappella. That is, I did all the parts myself too, by the way, so on the a cappella tune.
Take another little piece of my heart. don't you eat that yellow snow.
Okay, so I let it play contiguously up until then. So as you can tell, this is sort of the vocal and instrumentation version of what the Pentatonix did in a different kind of way, taking you through a journey through rock and roll rather than just, you know, a vortex through music, or, you know, not a vortex, but a journey through music. And we're gonna move into some of the heavier stuff too, but you could see also the progression, how it started kind of like doo-wop, and then it kind of went into a much, you know, everybody, you know, in fact, early on in the late 60s, it was come on baby, light my fire. Then you had the Beach Boys, which is like kind of this happy beach music. And then the progression of how stuff got a little more aggressive, a little more dark, a little more aggressive, a little more dark as it went. It's kind of interesting. Hear that? It's getting more aggressive, a little darker. Now, ironically, I've done almost every single one of these songs as this vocal demonstration. So if you go to my channel, and like I said, I have this singing course out. It's called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. And I walk you through step by step how to emulate and imitate and you know, mimic some of these different artists like this all the way through in your own style. You don't have to do it exactly like that. But anyway, let's continue. But you can see it's getting more and more aggressive and more intense and more energy, right? And a little darker as we go. Almost done here. Here we go. All right, cool. So there is the, you know, the sort of the instrumental version of that that's combined with, you know, all of the different interworkings and interweavings of that. Now I want to play you my a cappella version of this, and we'll close with this. I'm going to let this run for a bit, but I want you to notice these are polychords, and they're chords on top of chords. Sometimes there's six voice chords, sometimes there's 7 voice chords, and they interact with each other. And I sing the bass it's kind of like a bass player would play bass throughout a song. Then I sing chord structures that actually roll over with melodies in between, and then I sing a melody on top. So check this out. It's called This One's For You. I recorded this back like in 1992, and like I said, I did all of the parts myself. Check it out.
I've heard all the stories about days gone by, adolescent fantasies all gone awry. Let me just say this one time. This one's for you. So you wanna be a big star? Big star. Thinking big hair and fast talk will go far. Tell your soul to be a Mr. Big. No matter what you do, don't you quit your day gig. Oh, this one's for you. Talk the boys out of their share of the loot.
Remember that fast vibrato I talked about?
What you gonna do when all your hair falls out? Oh, this one's for you, you. Here's to all the folks who don't hear the hit. Well, let me tell you from the don't give a treat of our life. Hanging on by a three-piece lunch. She smokes a big cigar and says, let's do lunch. This one's for you, for you, for you, for you. Better do what I do, what I wanna do, what I do, what I wanna do, what I wanna do.
I originally did that on kazoo, but the label wouldn't let me go for it, so they made me put a muted trombone in that section. Sorry, I had to point that out. It's almost done, guys.
Checks in the mail, well, don't react, well, it don't be jack. Till you got that track down. What you know, but all you know to get you through. That's true. We'll call you. This one's for you. This one's for you. This one's for you. This one's for you. For you.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. And keep the requests coming, guys. I'll get to them as fast as I can. And until next time, God bless you all. Peace out. Hey guys, if you like what you heard, please like and subscribe to my channel by clicking on the subscribe button. That will actually take you to another page where you want to click on the bell icon, and it opens up a menu, and the menu has notifications on it where there's a little box you can check where it says send me all notifications for this channel. Check the box and then click the save button and you'll get notifications from me every time I have a cool video come out. Okay? Thanks guys. Peace out.